Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? As I say, kind of a Cliff Notes version of where you were growing up.
Yep.
One thing particular about your growing up, religion-based, that I wanted you to mention, your background,
okay,
as far as that goes, and where you're at now, and how God either punched you in the face or molded you in between.
Yeah. Well, I grew up Catholic, so is that what you were looking
yes.
for?
Yep.
Okay. I grew up in the Catholic Church, which is not a bad. It's not a bad religion, but it is very different from what we do here. There are many things that are different, but growing up Catholic meant that it was all about you didn't participate really besides singing in church. It had nothing. There was no activity. There was no active worship really. And it was not really worship-led or anything like that. So growing up in that, my parents got me involved in that church. I did reading. I did. I never was an altar boy. Never was an altar boy. Just clarifying.
I wasn't going there.
So and then, when I went to college, though, when I got out of high school, I did still live at home, and I told my parents. I said, they said, well, we're not going to make you go to church anymore. But when we go, like on Christmas and stuff, you have to go. But I quit going to church altogether. I had no desire because there was no personal relationship with Christ. Well, I was like any other high school guy, college guy. I liked girls, and I was trying to date a girl for quite a while, and she ended up coming to this church. And so I said, okay, well, if that's where you're going, if that's the only thing I can do to hang out with you on Sundays, I'll do it. So, but I'm going to back up though. Probably about 3 years before that, a buddy of mine, my best friend all throughout junior high and high school and stuff, his name is John, and he would share Christ with me every time we were together doing stuff. He would talk about his church activities. He would talk about how Christ has made a difference in his life, and it always went in one ear and out the other. And then I had another friend who was kind of doing the same thing, although he was a bit more like you. Mm-hmm. He was a brutal friend who was probably and is still one of my very best friends because he wouldn't let me get away with stuff. He wouldn't let me take the easy road out. He's always like, there's no easy road. You have to, So he helped develop me a lot in my personality. But all my friends played a good role in bringing me to Christ because then when I got here, my friends here at Cornerstone, Greg, and at the time Nick Castile, and a couple other guys, Neil Everett and stuff, when I wouldn't show up to church, they'd call me. They'd say, hey, why aren't you here? Why aren't you coming? What's going on? And then one day, I'm sitting in the pew, and I said, God, it's time for me to quit running. It's time for me to quit running. I got to make a choice. I got to make a stand. And I'm either going to stand for you or not stand at all. And at the time, that girl that I had followed, she had, we were just good friends at that point. We'd transitioned out of me wanting to
friend zone.
Yeah, we were solid in the friend zone. And then,
not a chance.
What's that?
Not a chance.
Not a chance. I was out
of my league.
Yeah. What's that?
Was she out of your league or?
I was out of her league.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, wait, hourly and lower?
So translation, yeah, yes. No, we just ended up realizing that friendship sometimes is a better spot, and I'll tell you why. Because shortly after that, a guy came into church, and this is how I met my wife, and this plays an integral role in part of my faith because I laid everything at the foot of the cross. I laid everything at the foot of the cross. My job, my family, my heart, everything was there. And I gave it totally to Christ before I could move on. And so when this girl, then all of a sudden one day, I'm standing at the top of the steps, and the door opens, and it's kind of like a bad 80s movie. You've heard this before. A white car pulls up in front of the double doors out there, okay? And the sun is coming down just right. It hits the white car and is blinding in. I'm just standing in the right spot for this big flash of light, okay? The door literally opens, and in walks Jenny with some other guy.
Oh.
And I turned to Greg, and he may not even remember this, and I said,
Grabbed a knife and threw it.
That's the girl I'm going to marry. And he said, dude, you just need a date. Just go on a date with a girl. Just find a girl and go on a date with her because you need to get that out of your system. That is not the girl you're supposed to marry. And I said, I am supposed to.
I have a question. Was Uncle Greg dating Aunt Eddie
Not at that time. Not
They
at that time.
didn't even know each other?
They did know each other, but they were not dating.
No, okay. I just needed to know that. Okay, now.
They had met. They had met briefly because your grandparents had just started coming here. So as I'm standing there, this girl walks in, and I said, and with a guy that was a friend of ours at the time, and I said, wow, that girl's so pretty. That's the girl I'm supposed to marry. And
Yeah,
I
what's
had
pretty
no
the
idea.
word you said?
I said hot,
Yeah. Trying to change it up, huh?
and she still is. And so then later on, I made sure that guy wasn't going out with her, and I asked her out, and she went out with me, and
Did you make sure? Did you say, "Hey, do you think those people are still going out?" And somebody said, "Not sure." And you said, "Oh, good. Hey."
no. I actually went to his house.
You went
because
what?
I went to my
How did you know
friend's
where he
house
lived?
because he was my friend at the time.
The dude does dating.
Yeah. He had met her at McDonald's, and because he was working with her, and he brought her here because she was going to another church and was like, and he's like, "You're gonna like this church better," and she's like, "Yeah, I don't know about that." And he brought her, and I wanted to make sure that he didn't really want to be with her because I've had that happen to me where a guy came in and took my girlfriend. It wasn't fun. It wasn't nice. So I went out and I said, "Hey, man," I said, well, I went over to his place. I was like, "Yeah, hey, how you doing? Let's hang out." "Sure, yeah." He goes, "Okay, but seriously, why are you here?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, since you asked, there's this girl. Are you dating her?" He goes, No. I just wanted to bring her to church because I had to." He was a lot like you. He goes, "I had to prove a point that our worship was correct and hers was wrong."
Oh, nice.
Not that you would do that, but anyways.
I seem to be what is the protagonist in this story?
Yeah, you have. Yeah. Wow. No wonder we're good friends because you like
I'm the
encapsulate
embodiment
a lot
of all of your mean friends. In the
Well,
past.
not mean, but they were.
I'll take that label.
Yeah, you can. So, anyways, so that's how I met her, and I asked her out, and we ended up getting married a year and a half later.